Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well today. How's your week going? Here things have been pretty busy on my end. I've been diving into some truly puzzling cases lately, and let me tell you, this one, it's one of those stories that keeps me awake at night, just thinking about it. Today, we're talking about the mysterious disappearance of Terrence Woods Jr. It's a case that's equal parts baffling and heartbreaking. A young filmmaker with a promising career, vanishing into the wilderness of Idaho under some truly strange circumstances. No answers, no closure, just questions. So many questions. What made Terrence sprint into the forest that day? Was it a mental health crisis, foul play, or something even more chilling? It's been over 7 years, and we're still searching for the truth. So, grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's dive into this unsolved mystery. October 5th, 2018. The rugged wilderness of Idaho becomes the stage for a chilling and unsolved mystery. Terrence Woods Jr., a 27-year-old filmmaker with a promising career, vanishes without a trace. One moment, he's with his production crew at an abandoned mine. The next, he's sprinting into the dense Nez Perce National Forest. He hasn't been seen or heard from since. 7 years later, we're left with questions. What drove Terrence into the forest that day? Was it a mental breakdown, foul play, or something even more sinister? And why, despite extensive searches and media coverage, has no trace of him ever been found? In today's episode, we're diving into the baffling disappearance of Terrence Woods Jr., a case that continues to haunt his family, investigators, and the public alike. To understand this mystery, we first need to understand Terrence Woods Jr. Who was he? And why is his disappearance so out of character? Terrence was born and raised in Maryland, a young man described by everyone who knew him as happy-go-lucky, kind-hearted, and deeply passionate about filmmaking. After graduating from the University of Maryland with a degree in TV and film, Terrence's ambition took him across the Atlantic, where he worked in the UK on hit shows like The Voice UK. By the time he was 27, he was already building a reputation for being creative, talented, and reliable. One producer even described him as being on his way to a long, successful career in TV. But it wasn't just his professional life that stood out. His family and friends remember him as calm, gentle, and someone who brought positive energy wherever he went. Terrence's father, Terrence Sr., once described him as the type of person who would light up a room. That's what makes this case so haunting. Why would a young man with such a bright future, someone so level-headed, vanish so suddenly? Something about this story doesn't add up. The story takes a dark turn on October 5th, 2018. Terrence was in Idaho, working as a production assistant on the Discovery Channel series Gold Rush. The crew, hired by a British company called Raw TV, was filming at Penman Mine, a remote and isolated location in the Nez Perce National Forest. The day began like any other, but those on set later claimed Terrence wasn't himself. According to the crew, he was acting strangely, nervous, distracted. They reported he even had a panic attack that morning, something completely out of character for him. At one point, he reportedly tried to grab a drone mid-flight with his bare hands, an incident that puzzled everyone. But what stands out most is a text Terrence sent to his father earlier that day. In it, he said he'd be coming home earlier than planned. Instead of staying until the job wrapped up, Terrence said he'd return on October 10th. No reason was given for the change, leaving his father confused, and now, looking back, deeply concerned. Then, at around 5 p.m., everything changed. Witnesses say Terrence suddenly dropped his radio, muttered something about needing a bathroom break, and bolted down a steep hill into the forest. The crew watched in shock as he disappeared into the trees. They tried to follow him, but the terrain was unforgiving. Steep cliffs, sharp rocks, and thick underbrush. After a short pursuit, they had to turn back. Scratched and bloodied, they called authorities for help. By 6:41 p.m., the Idaho County Sheriff's Office had been alerted. Terrence Woods Jr. was officially missing. But why did he run? Was he fleeing from something? Or someone? And why hasn't he been found in all these years? In the days following Terrence's disappearance, search and rescue teams launched an all-out effort to find him. Helicopters circled overhead. Dogs combed through the forest, sniffing for any trace. Ground teams covered miles of rugged terrain, battling rain, cold, and the vast expanse of the wilderness. But after 6 grueling days, the search was called off. Not a single trace of Terrence had been found. The Nez Perce National Forest is no ordinary forest. It spans over 4 million acres, an endless maze of cliffs, rivers, and dense vegetation. Sheriff Doug Giddings described the area as rugged and secluded, with no cell service and miles of dirt roads. Finding someone in those conditions is like finding a needle in a haystack. And yet, what was found raises more questions than answers. Back at the crew's lodging, Terrence's suitcase was discovered. It was neatly packed, as if he was ready to leave. Did he plan to leave the set early, as his text to his father suggested? Or was there another explanation? And then, there was the matter of the story Terrence told his employers. He claimed his mother was having emergency surgery, a reason he gave for wanting to leave the shoot early. But his family has since confirmed this wasn't true. Why would Terrence invent such a story? Why wanting to leave the set so fast? Terrence's family has spent years trying to piece together the truth. They've raised questions about the events leading up to his disappearance and the behavior of the production crew. Why did Terrence lie about his mother needing surgery to leave the set early? Was he trying to escape something? Or someone? And why have some witnesses remained tight-lipped about what happened that day? The production company, Raw TV, has defended itself, insisting there was no foul play. But Terrence's family isn't convinced. They've raised questions about his treatment on set, particularly because he was the only black crew member. Was he mistreated, intimidated, or even silenced after witnessing something he wasn't supposed to? Another theory suggests Terrence suffered a mental health crisis. Crew members described his behavior as erratic in the hours leading up to his disappearance. But those closest to him, his family and friends, dispute this. They say he'd never shown signs of mental illness before. So why did he run? And finally, there's the harsh reality of the wilderness itself. Could Terrence have succumbed to the elements in one of the most remote and unforgiving terrains in the country? If so, why haven't his remains been found? 6 years later, Terrence Woods Jr.'s family is still searching for answers. His father, Terrence Sr., has described the pain of his son's disappearance as a wound that never heals. With death, you have closure, he said. With disappearance, you have nothing. Today, Terrence's case remains open, but there are no active searches. The Woods family has hired private investigators, appeared on television shows like Dr. Phil, and pleaded with the public for help, but the trail has gone cold. What really happened to Terrence Woods Jr. that day? Was it a mental health crisis, or some foul play by one of the crew members? Why was his body never found? What do you think happened to Terrence Woods Jr.? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what we uncover next. Until then, stay safe.